Special counsel Jack Smith compelled Donald Trump's co-conspirator Tom Fitton, a bombshell witness, to testify before the federal criminal grand jury in Washington, D.C., investigating Trump's election interference. Earlier in the day, Fitton, who is not a lawyer but plays one on MAGA television, helped orchestrate the premeditated plan to declare victory, or have Trump declare victory, before the November 2020 election, even when Trump lost. Fitton wasn't wearing his very tight
t-shirt
shirts. He kind of looked like Carmen Sandiego meets Real Justice. You remember that? Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? Everyone remembers.
I love when you sing it in the intros.
And as Trump swirls the putrid, fascist, fake gold drain of his at Mar-a-Lago, he gets more despicable, weirder, and dangerous each day. This week, he went on a social media platform and reposted statements calling for a violent civil war. He also called DeSantis a rhino globalist. Rhino globalists say what? And DeSantis's response. How do you think DeSantis responded to that? Well, he responded by saying, "The deep state is trying to take away your gas stoves."
Come on.
I kid you not. That's
So
actually
2 weeks
what
ago.
this is. No. That's actually what DeSantis said in a statement. We got another foul taste this week of just how dumb and anti-American and just what traitors these MAGA House Republicans are and MAGA Republicans are in general. And we also saw Democrats fighting back in these committee hearings, which was a sight to behold, right? This is the Democratic Party I've been waiting for. Fierce defenders of democracy, but at the threshold inquiry, they are acting like adults. I like that. I like my politicians who act like adults. Also this week, speaking of the exact opposite, the MAGA Republicans in the House of Representatives, right? They removed their American lapel pins. They just took it off, threw it away, and they replaced it with pins depicting AR-15s. Yes, the House MAGA Republicans were wearing pins celebrating mass shootings. I'm not making that up. It's there. Some people were like, "Oh, is that Photoshop?" No. I think the House Republican Party is a photoshopped version of what the Republicans used to be. They're a fascist, but that's who they are. It's the reality of who they are. Oh, and by the way, the FBI launched another criminal investigation into MAGA Republican George Santos from stealing GoFundMe money from a disabled homeless veteran's dog. All right. This is the Midas Touch podcast, joined by Brett and Jordy. I am in the office today, dressed up in my suit.
You look fancy.
You know,
when you're not dressed like the other brothers, like I just feel it feels different.
Well, Ben looks good. I think me and Jordy, I think we're both repping New York right now. So that's good.
Are you wearing a Mets shirt too?
I am. Yeah. Isn't that right?
Oh, nice.
Both rocking the New York Mets gear. Ben over here, it seems like every episode a button comes down. He goes down further with the button. Not sure if this is intentional or what. I guess it's an interesting work look, but you know, you look good though. So I'm not hating on it. I'm just mentioning.
You know, here's the issue I have, and Jordy, the sartorial one of us all, though. You know, because I don't
even know if that's an insult.
Because you don't know, because you got to Google the word. It's not an insult.
You're stylish.
I go, Jordy, you're sartorial. And Jordy's like, oh, did he just insult me? I don't know what to do with the button when I don't have a tie. So, Jordy, how are you doing? I want to plug two things, but most importantly, how are you, Jordy?
I'm doing well. I'm starving. I need to say this. I just need to get this off my chest. I love the time slot for this because we get all the Midas Mighty and it's fantastic. And the time slot's really good for you guys. I can't eat before I do the shows because when I eat, I'm like a child. I just get really sleepy. So I have to eat after we do the shows, and it's 8 p.m. on the East Coast. It's only 5 p.m. by you guys. You guys get the better end of when we do the lives.
I will say for sure. When I've been on the East Coast with you, I've been like, oh, it's pretty tough on the East Coast at the time.
Yes.
But I get it. But that's why you're the sartorial one. Remember, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of
so
like
sartorial. It's
so
unbelievable.
Remember, like when we were younger, like when you're like young and you would say words that sound like disses, but you really don't know what they mean. And then someone would be like, "Oh, your epidermis is showing," and you'd be like, "What?" What? And then like you Google, there was no Google back then, so you couldn't even Google it.
Yeah,
but
I remember that really well.
You
You guys made me cry because you guys followed me around the house and kept saying that and pointing and laughing.
Yeah, it sounds.
I'm not sure that's valid.
I might be right. I cannot confirm nor deny, but oh my gosh, today watching, I mean, all week watching these Republicans, you guys, it's been like watching the biggest clown show. No offense to clowns. Like I don't want to offend clowns here because what this is just such a disgrace. And they're not only clowns. Once again, apologies to clowns. They are dangerous clowns, and we're seeing it every single day, and they are exposing themselves with all their action, and they are showing how they are not prioritizing anything that they said they would prioritize when they ran, which we all knew. They're running straight to all the culture war issues, all the distractions. They are unable to govern, and you're just watching this day in and day out, and it is like beyond the movie Idiocracy. It is beyond anything you could even dream up. I mean, these people are truly, this is lunacy that we are witnessing. But to see the Dems actually step up and have some fight in them and punch back, I was like, there we go. That's the Midas touch in you. That's what I want to see. I want to see some fight in you. I want to see that pushback, expose these traitors. And that's exactly what we got to see all day today. And it was a breath of fresh air for sure.
Let's get, you know what? I want to get into that. I'll plug the Ben stuff later. Okay. Ben can wait before plugging his stuff. But to your point, Brett, everything
deep tease on the Ben stuff. Ben's a big tease today. With
I like that.
Button to the end of the show. Big tease, Ben.
Sartorial Jordy. Everything that they've done this week is like just the most performative idiocracy. Like, again, they teased us with like, going at like making up conspiracies about 87,000 IRS agents and gas stoves. But this week it went into like full gear, and they would like introduce, okay, our big thing, we're doing a non-binding resolution. We need to condemn socialism in all of its forms. It goes, wait a minute. Didn't you take a PPP loan? So if you're going to condemn socialism in all of its forms, like you're aware that there is, you know, what Medicare is, right? You're aware when you took a PPP loan that came from the government. And also, this is the stupidest thing in the world. And so I loved this. This is one of the greatest things. So you know how all the House Republicans ran away from subpoenas in the last Congress? Maxine Waters, the Democratic Congresswoman from California, she's like, put me in, coach. I'm in. I want to testify before this stupid committee for real. She's like, I want to testify before this dumb committee. Put me in. I want to sit down. And this is the House Rules Committee where they wanted to introduce the non-binding resolution to condemn socialism in all of its forms. And she's like, look, I'm a capitalist, is what she said. She goes, I'm a capitalist. I don't know what this stupid thing that you're doing is. And then the person questioning her, the MAGA Republican, was like, I want to give you 3 names. And what comes to mind? The MAGA Congressman Rauschenthaler, who was leading the conversations, and was like, I'm going to give you these 3 names. What do they have in common? Vladimir Putin, President Xi, Kim Jong-un. Just watch how Maxine Waters handles this. Play this clip.
And the fact that this isn't passing on suspension just says everything about my friends across the aisle, that you can't condemn socialism. I mean, in your opening remarks, you were talking about Putin, Kim Jong-un, and Xi. You know what they all have in common, right?
Trump.
Trump? North Korea, China, and Russia?
He loves Kim Jong-un.
That's quite the intellectual leap. I would say communism. Would you like to denounce any communist leaders?
Well, I don't know what you're asking, but let me just... The leader of the Republican Party, Donald Trump, has made often glowing, described authoritarians like Kim Jong-un, who is condemned in the resolution. Regarding North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, Trump said, Kim wrote me beautiful letters, and they're great letters, and we fell in love. You sure you want to hear the rest of it?
Unbelievable.
You sure you want me to keep going? You sure you want me to keep reading?
Brett, have we posted my Maxine Waters hit yet, or are we going to post that soon?
I think it's going up soon, but yeah,
okay,
stay tuned for that.
Because I go over, I play the full 7 minutes of her just brutally taking down the MAGA Republicans. That was just a taste of it. And then she goes like, I'm a capitalist. Wait, what do you even talk? What do you want me to do here? You want me to condemn socialism in all its forms? And he would go and he would just basically say names. He'd be like, Pol Pot. And she'd be like, "Oh, you're okay. You're just saying a name."
Yeah, and none of these people are socialists that she even mentioned. Like they're not even. And like it also shows you how deep these people are in their own kind of gaslighting and their own MAGAverse, as Jordy likes to call it. That you could say, "What do these three names remind you of?" Vladimir Putin, Kim Jong-un. It's like, are you going to keep going? Viktor Orban. Like, are you going to keep going with the names that all tie to Trump? Because anybody who does any rational thought, like while it was an incredible clapback for Maxine Waters, to me, it was like the only answer, you know? It was like, of course, that's the answer. What did this idiot expect her to say? And he got what he deserved, just, you know, embarrassed in public. And this keeps happening.
When they give you those questions on, like, you know, a multiple choice exam, like the first thing I would go is Trump. I mean, it was a great clapback, but I would go, well, he does. Trump says he loves these people, like in the weirdest terms. And that's your leader of the Republican Party. I love Kim Jong-un. I fell in love with him. I mean, it's some of the weirdest shit. I want to kiss Kim Jong-un. Like, that is the leader of the Republican Party.
He knew that he like got played because he started laughing after he asked the question. He was like, "Oh, well, that's quite the intellectual leap." Is it though? Because it seems like a pretty obvious connection to make.
The way Representative Waters delivered it too, it was just so earnest. Like she didn't even think. Like it just came out. It's Trump. Like, is this what you want me to say? Trump? It's Trump.
So
and it was just so honest. It was so perfectly delivered. And then she had the receipts ready to go. It was awesome.
Well, go from the House Rules Committee to the Judiciary Committee, where their big performative resolution is that they wanted to have the House MAGA leaders of the Judiciary Committee read the Pledge of Allegiance before they start their committee. And the Democrats are like, okay, like why are you can we talk about like the business of yes, you could do the Pledge of Allegiance, but Congress member David Cicilline, the Democrat, said, but can I add one amendment? If you participate in insurrections, you're not allowed to read the Pledge of Allegiance. This is what I mean. This is Democrats fighting back. And these are the moments that are out there to these idiot, traitor MAGA Republicans. Here, play this clip.
My amendment gives the committee the opportunity to begin each of its meetings with the Pledge of Allegiance.
So I'd like to offer an amendment to the amendment, adding in the second paragraph where the chair may designate an individual to lead the Pledge of Allegiance, to add the following language. Provided, however, the pledge shall not be led by an individual who supported an insurrection against the government of the United States in any way. Because I think if we adopt this amendment, then we will be truthful in representing that stating this pledge is an affirmation of your defense of democracy and the Constitution. It's hard to take that claim seriously if, in fact, an individual who in any way supported an insurrection against the government of the United States is allowed to lead the pledge. So I would ask Mr. Gates to accept this friendly amendment, and I look forward to supporting it.
Would the gentleman yield for
first ask Mr. Gates if he'll support the amendment, to make sure that someone who led an insurrection against the United States doesn't make a mockery of the Pledge of Allegiance and stand before this committee with their hand over their heart claiming to support the Constitution.
Mr. Cicilline, my concern would be if your definition of an insurrection is objecting to electors, then there would be many Democrats on the committee that wouldn't be eligible to lead the pledge, since so many
That's
objected.
Not my definition of an insurrection.
The last Republican president to get sworn in absent Democrat objectors was George Herbert Walker Bush.
Claiming my time, Mr. Gates, I will allow the chairman to determine whether or not someone has participated in insurrection in the United States. I think this language is important.
Would the gentleman further yield?
I'm asking Mr. Gates, will you now accept the amendment?
Well, I'm concerned that you may be disqualifying too many of your own members, Mr. Cicilline.
I'm not concerned about that at all. Then agree to the amendment.
I'm not concerned about it at all.
Let's make this real. If you want to give someone the right to stand before the House Judiciary Committee and lead the Pledge of Allegiance at a bare minimum, let's guarantee that person has not participated or supported or in any way helped an overthrow of the government of the United States.
Would the gentleman yield?
Like a simple proposition.
Seems like a simple proposition. Let's go. You saw Gates. He's like, yeah, I'm a dumb idiot, basically. That was Gates's face. Like, yeah, I'm a freaking idiot. But that's what that's why I like this. This is what, when people are saying Democrats need to message better, Democrats need to fight back. Welcome to the era of Hakeem Jeffries. Welcome to adults in the room who are calling traitors, calling fascists. I loved that. And Gates had no clue what to do. And then Gates like, well, I'm actually concerned, the both sidesism that they try to do on their networks. And Ciceline's like, I'm not worried about that. You come up with the definition of an insurrectionist, throw it right back in their stupid faces.
Yeah, they have nothing to say when they're confronted with the truth, and when you just hammer on it, and you don't let them get away with, but the Democrats didn't lead an insurrection against the United States of America. Okay, it's that simple. We all saw what happened on January 6th. We all know who participated in it. We all saw the January 6th hearings. We all know who asked for pardons, Matt Gaetz. We all know exactly what happened. So for you to try to gaslight and try to be, just protecting the Democrats, that will get thrown back in your face every single time now that we have fighters there who are ready to engage on these BS issues. I just cannot believe the time and the money that these Republicans are wasting day in and day out. They go there. Like, this is their job, people. Like, think about your day. Think about how hard you work at your jobs to try to be productive. Now think that this is the House of Representatives. They go in here. They are getting our money. They are getting paid with our money, and they are leading the dumbest fights in the world. It should also be mentioned that the Pledge of Allegiance is read every day in the House of Representatives in the first place. They just want to say it a bunch of times. Well, let's say it again and again and again and again and again. Let's say it before this committee and before that committee, because they don't have real patriotism. It's all performative BS. And once you peel back the performative BS, you see a crew that is fundamentally anti-American, a crew that is trying to strip away free speech rights, who attacks the First Amendment, who even now attacks the free market at all times. They claim to be free market capitalists. They're the first people to try to attack companies for making their own private decisions. This party is a fundamentally un-American party and often mirrors, unsurprisingly, the exact things that they try to attack. Like, who was more close to a communist party? I would say the Republicans in their efforts to try to control every aspect of private industry if they upset them. I mean, you see it. Everybody is seeing it right now. And finally.
Well, Brett, it's like what you say all the time. Every accusation is a confession, and that's when they project onto the Democrats, communist this, they're communist. Like, this Republican Party doesn't know what to do. We are literally watching the dumbest majority in congressional history, I'd want to say. And they are going up against the smartest, most savvy Democrats for this time. The Democrats have learned what didn't work. And I might get in trouble for this, but going with that sort of high morality stance that we did back in 2016, 2017 era, Democrats have learned, hey, we could still take the high road and still maintain our integrity and morals by calling out this Republican BS. As they try and cloak themselves in the flag, these Republicans, they're using it as a shield because, to your point, Brett, they're trying to take away all of the rights that Americans want. And they're trying to pretend they're patriots, but they're the least patriotic people in the world.
Brett, I know I'll let you jump in, but Jordy, your sartorial acumen there is such that no one is going to get angry with you at all. Brett?
No, I was going to say it's an absolutely brilliant point, Jordy. And I think that that's the distinction, I think, that is often missed when people go back and reference, for example, Michelle Obama saying, when they go low, we go high.
Right.
Now, going high doesn't mean letting them get away with everything, which I think for far too long, people on our side have interpreted at, let it just brush right off. You let them attack you, just smile and be nice. That's not what going high is. It's not going low to hit back at people with the truth. I mean, you could do it in a way that's above board. You could do it in a way that's biting. And that's what we are witnessing. There's nothing lowball. There's no below the belt hits that we just witnessed. That's just all facts. That's just calling out the truth. And by the way, staying high, in my opinion. That is the definition of it. You need to be able to punch back. And finally, we have people punching back.
So we went from the House Rules Committee. We went to the House Judiciary Committee. Now let's go to the House Oversight Committee, where the MAGA Republicans appointed conspiracy theorist, QAnon follower, school shooting survivor stalker. Marjorie Taylor Greene is on the House Oversight Committee, and she was questioning a witness regarding the use of COVID stimulus funds. And she confused the witness a little bit because, again, they live in their cat turd MAGA echo chamber. So just watch this exchange of Marjorie Taylor in MAGA Republican Fox weirdo world asking a normal individual a question, and then you look at the guy's face who she's asking a question. It just he goes, what did you say? What are you talking about? Play this.
Yeah, I just want to say, when you watch this clip, look at the witness, look at the guy who she's speaking to, and just look at how absolutely confused that he is with this all. Like, he's like, what the heck are you talking about? Here's the clip.
Dodaro, can you tell me how much COVID cash went to CRT?
CRT?
Critical race theory in education. It's a racist curriculum used to teach children that somehow their white skin is not equal to black skin and other things in education.
Yeah.
So for none of this has been true.
I do not know that, but I do know that there's provisions that the federal funds generally are not used, are supposed to be used for curriculum.
Oh,
That's a state.
oh, Mr. Dodaro, I have to tell you, in Illinois, they received $5.1 billion at an elementary school there that used it for equity and diversity. So it's being used for these things. Mr. Dodaro, can you?
Oh, Mr. Dodaro. She thought she had this Perry Mason moment. Whoa. Let me tell you. There's this one school in Illinois, Mr. Dodaro. That one school, it got $5.1 billion for equity and diversity teaching.
She should just start making them numbers. You know, that one elementary school, it got 60 zillion, bajillion, trillion, quadrillion dollars. Did you know that? Just imagine one skill, one school.
Just think about it. No. One school got $5.1 billion for the purpose, not for even teaching like history.
No,
for teaching equity and diversity. And then when you actually go in and you're like, what the hell is she even talking about? Like, where is she even getting this? Like, there's like something that says that like the state of Illinois is committed to is like the entire state is committed to like treating people with equality, and that the entire state received $5 billion in COVID relief, which also went to education as part of it. It had nothing to do
improving
with
air quality, cleaning classrooms, hiring new teachers, improving the schools. Like, it went to everything in the schools.
It had nothing to do with fun. It had nothing to do with anything that she just found some word that the state supports equality, that the state was giving some money to schools, and then said CRT, which, by the way, in the Fox propaganda disinformation world, in the MAGA echo chamber world, that's how they tell their stories. Look, the thumb drive was in this, and they beamed algorithms from CIA bunkers in Italy, and it beamed to Hugo Chavez in Venezuela, and then Dominion did this, and and that's reported in MAGA echo chamber world as news. But when MAGA echo chamber world is confronted with reality, you have these moments. But for far too long, Democrats, pro-democracy, have just let MAGA extremists get away with it. And so you had like one team cheating, to score touchdowns, and then the other team wasn't even playing football, and so one team's cheating and scoring, one team's not even playing, and the referee being, yet alone having a referee on the field. So they just got away with these narratives over and over again. And look, you do a study of history, you could poison the minds with propaganda. There's a reason that it's effective. And what I love to see, we don't have the clip here, but we were talking about it, even like Adrian Fontes, who's a big fan of and a big friend of the Midas Touch Network, seeing Adrian Fontes on MSNBC and saying that these election deniers are fascists. A Secretary of State, a Democrat Secretary of State, saying, no, these are fascists. Just seeing that language being used in that way is something that I love. And then finally, we go from the House oversight.
Well, let me just say, while we're still on oversight, that this whole oversight scam that they are pulling right now is also another way for them to deflect from their own criminality. They are trying to act like Democrats never once probed COVID fraud, COVID spending fraud, much of which occurred under the Trump administration. But this was actually a high priority for House Democrats. I mean, the PPP program was an essential program that helped a lot of people. Let me start there. I think it was very important to get money out to struggling businesses who needed it. But there were plenty of businesses and plenty of people associated directly with Trump and Republicans who have a lot of power, Republican politicians, who took advantage of the PPP program, got their loans forgiven because that's what the program did, and essentially were written blank checks by the government in the sums of hundreds of thousands, and in some cases, millions of dollars. And these Republicans are like the main people who took these large sums of money in a criminal way when they didn't need it. Like, what businesses were they taking the money for? A lot of people have no idea what businesses they were taking the money for. You could go down the list of the Republicans taking the PPP money. Matt Gaetz got $476,000.
Because they have a job. They're supposed to be members of Congress.
Yes. Marjorie Taylor Greene got over $180,000. She's the one on this committee. And it goes down the list. You see Kevin Hearn. Remember Kevin Hearn? He was the guy who went during the 15 rounds of Kevin McCarthy voting that they went, I'm voting for Kevin Hearn. Kevin Hearn took $1.07 million from the PPP program. Roger Williams from Texas took $1.43 million from the PPP program. And the list goes on. And House Democrats did this investigation. They did it. They did it in 2020. They did it through 2021. And what did they find? They found evidence the Trump administration mismanaged the whole PPP program, mismanaged the economic industry disaster loan program, led to nearly $84 billion in potentially fraudulent loans. And what happened? The second Biden stepped in, he started putting roadblocks in place to prevent the corruption. They started putting up boards that would monitor these programs and make sure that there was no fraud. That didn't exist before. And so I think that's an important thing. And now these Republicans have the nerve to come in and say, oh, we're going to be the ones to investigate this. You were the ones committing the crimes. That's why you want to investigate it, because you want to protect yourself once again, and you want to try to deflect on all the things that you did. As always, they use all these committees as weapons. Ironically, they created the House Weaponization Committee, but they use government as weapons to target their political enemies and to try to muddy the waters and spread conspiracy theories. And it's no different what they're doing here. They just want that Fox News hit. They want the attention, and they get it. They get it out of this. But at least some of the attention is in the form of humiliation, like what we just witnessed with Marjorie Taylor Greene.
I think a lot of the attention is actually, to your point, Brett, negative attention and humiliation that they actually didn't foresee. If I can make the analogy here, these congressional Republicans are like wannabe class clowns. You know, the kid that you had in your class that thought he was hilarious and wanted to say stuff just to like get a rouse out of I don't know, the other students, but like nobody liked him and everyone thought he was like just crazy annoying. That's
oddly specific.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking of one person. Anyway, that's who these congressional Republicans, that's who they are. They're just like, the American people are watching this just like, will you guys shut up? Like, what are you doing? You are embarrassing yourselves. It is humiliating to watch how stupid you really are.
How about MAGA Republican Dusty Johnson, who was interviewed about, what's the Republican plan? What's the MAGA Republican plan about raising the debt ceiling? So what do you want to cut? Like, what is your position in the negotiation? I know you say that you want Biden to negotiate with you, but like, okay, what do you want him to negotiate? So, Republicans, can you give one example? Just state an example of a single program where you believe there should be a cut. You know, just to be very clear,
name one.
Raising the debt ceiling is not about new spending. It's about paying the bills that, frankly, of other Congresses and other administrations where 25+ 90+% of all of the debt, by the way, that's been created was by Donald Trump. Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans in control of the House created more debt in the United States than at any time in our history. And so we have to pay the bills that Donald Trump and the Republicans ran up. We can have a conversation about spending in a different part of the appropriations process, but raising the debt ceiling is about not defaulting on debt, which is a constitutional responsibility of Congress, and the full faith and credit in the United States and United States currency and the United States markets is so vital. So this is what the MAGA Republicans said, though. Just name me one thing. Give me an example of something you want to cut. Here, play this clip.
So first, on the budget demands of your party here, what specific programs are you putting on the table to cut?
Well, that's not how a negotiation works. And in fact, the law says that the president needs to step forward with a budget first. His team is going to miss their February deadline. They say they're not even going to get that done until March. So here's what I think is step one. Today, we need to have the president and the speaker in the same room. That's going to happen. And we need to have President Biden agree that he will negotiate over the reckless spending that our country has been engaged in.
But as you know, the debt ceiling relates to budgets already passed by Congresses, including with Republican votes. What are the positions? Because a negotiation, as you know, involves, if you want to call it that, involves two sides presenting their positions. Can you name a single program that Republicans would be willing to cut money from to make a deal?
But see, I think that's ridiculously unfair, and here's why. The credit card bill comes to our family. We have maxed out our credit cards. Now, of course, listen, we're going to pay that credit card bill. We're legally obligated to do so. But rather than force all of the onus on the Republicans, which I know y'all love to do, what a responsible, reasonable, and sensible family would do is sit down together and start
by the way,
to talk
I'm
through
not doing that,
how
sir.
do we stop.
I'm not putting all the onus on Republicans. That's the law. The law puts the onus on Congress and the nation to pay its bill. But please go ahead. Is there a program that you can name that you personally would be willing to see money cut from?
Well, yeah, there are lots of programs. But the point is, I'm not going to negotiate against the Republican Party on CNN.
No, there are lots of programs, plenty of programs, so many programs. Name one. Oh, programs. Name one. Oh, well, that's an unfair question to ask. Why? Give one program. Because
that's not the way a negotiation works. What does that even mean? One party comes to the negotiation without information. Biden has his plan. Biden has his priorities. And under Biden, the debt has decreased. The deficit has decreased. He's been far more fiscally conservative than any of these MAGA Republicans. So there's a proven track record of cutting the deficit by trillions under Biden. Donald Trump increased the deficit close to $9 billion. So Biden, $2 billion decrease in deficit. Trump, about $9 billion increase in deficit because he can't pay for his billionaire cash grabs that he gives. So Biden has a plan. Biden talks about his plan. We know where Biden's priorities are. So no, name one program. And then Kevin McCarthy had this meeting with Jordy.
Hold on one second. I have 3 points to make on that. One, it was an excellent job by the interviewer. CNN did a good job on that one. That interview did a great job not letting him off the hook.
Press has been stepping it up a little bit lately.
Just trying to pin him. Yeah, absolutely. Just trying to pin him down on that. So that was a great job. Two, I've never seen someone look more like a Dusty Johnson than Dusty Johnson. Three, Dusty Johnson is the world's worst name. I swear.
Yeah, Dusty Johnson's pretty bad. In the Hall of Fame of rough names, it probably ranks pretty high up there. It's
at least top three.
Yeah, it's a rough one. I mean,
Dusty Johnson.
Imagine going. Okay, we got to give him a little bit of a pass. I mean, he grew up in being named Dusty Johnson. But but let's move on from that. But I mean, no, Trump added nearly, just to correct the numbers a little bit, he added nearly $8 trillion to the deficit. Trillion, not billion. $8 trillion.
Oh, did I said billion?
Yeah, you said billion.
Oh no, I meant trillion. I clearly meant trillion.
Yeah. That's why I was like, huh? It's a billion. That doesn't sound like a lot at all. $8 trillion to the deficit. So that is an important thing. Also, this credit card analogy is they love this analogy. They love analogies that sound simple and like sound smart. And if you, under any scrutiny, they fall apart. If you want to even go with that analogy,
family, like when your family's there together and you're eating macaroni and cheese and You know, when your significant other takes the Velveeta and she puts it on the macaroni, and they're like, "Hun, what's up? Why are you putting too much Velveeta on the macaroni?" So Biden has to negotiate with us. Oh, what?
I mean, it's really, do you pay your credit card bill when it's time to pay your credit card bill? Yes or no? You gotta pay it. You got to pay the bill. And Republicans don't want to pay the bill, even though 90% of the spending, 90% of the debt has been racked up from previous administrations and previous Congresses. They want to pin this on Biden. 25% plus of the debt under Donald Trump in his 4 years. So don't even try to pretend you are fiscal hawks or fiscal conservatives. You ran up trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars in deficits, and you did it for the worst reasons. You did it to give rich people tax cuts, like every single time. That's what you did it for. It wasn't even the pandemic that started it. You did it to give your rich friends tax cuts, and you blew a giant hole in the debt. You ran up incredible deficits, and now you're trying to act like you are holier than thou. But we see right through it. We see right through it.
It's like when you go to the movie theater and you're getting some popcorn and they ask you, "Do you want butter?" And you're like, "Hey, I want butter, but not too much butter." Yet they keep on putting butter on the popcorn, and so you're like, "Hey, I'm gonna have way too many calories with that." And by the way, do you have any salt? So in other words, what I'm trying to tell you in this negotiation is, okay, Dusty, can you just please answer the question, Dusty? Name me one program, Dusty.
Do you think Dusty Johnson is friends with David Pecker?
Oh.
Wow. Yeah. I see where you're going there, and I thought of taking the conversation there. I went with the lighter humor, and Brett went right there, trying to make this podcast an explicit. And so Kevin McCarthy met with President Biden, and you know, like McCarthy with that fake voice of his, you know.
What is that voice? It's bizarre.
I don't know. Do we have the video of McCarthy though, Brett?
Okay, so let me just set the context for a second. This is McCarthy after his meeting with Biden. They discussed the debt ceiling. There are going to be more discussions, apparently. And this is him saying like what happened in the meeting and what the status is. If you could tell me, just try to help me translate what he says here, because he says a lot of words. And I I'm not just saying this, I legit have no idea what the guy is talking about. Here's Kevin McCarthy.
I believe in hearing both perspectives, like anything else, be it business, be it in family, be it in relationships, that you can find common ground. There's nothing in there but me walking away that does not believe at the end of the day we can come to an agreement that makes America stronger, puts us on a path to balance, and exactly what the American people are asking us to do. It's our responsibility to do it.
There's a lot of words.
I want to put us on a path to power. I want to make America stronger. There's nothing that we can't accomplish if we're together in a relationship together, and we need to work together in a relationship, and we're going to come together again. It's like, okay, you are the worst Speaker of the House. You are the worst politician. And now can I plug my show in Kevin McCarthy's district? Can I finally do it? Or do you want to do a little bit more on McCarthy? Should I tease it slightly more?
Tease it slightly. It's coming up. No, so I just want to parse the words. There's nothing in there. This is a Kevin McCarthy quote. There's nothing in there but me walking away that does not believe at the end of the day we can come to an agreement. I don't, it's a lot of double negatives. It's a lot of words that don't mean anything. It's a lot of word salad. And I think he's just used to like saying things with no meaning. It was like it when he was on the show the other day, the weekend shows that we covered on Monday night's show. And he just said a lot of words, never answered the question. It's kind of the same thing. Just kind of like, yeah, you know, I was in there with the president and, you know, ice cream and TV screens and medicine and cell phones. And that's why America is so strong. And then we need a strong this. And have you heard about mugs and yes, the deficit? And you're like, yeah, those were a lot of words, but like, you didn't say anything. Like you threw a lot of words together. I have no idea what the hell you are talking about.
And to put a nice bow on this topic of House Republicans, as we mentioned at the outset, they've now taken off their American lapel pins, took off their pins, threw them away, and they've got new pins now that they wear. And I am not making this up. This is not a photoshopped image. They are now wearing pins depicting AR-15s where the American lapel pin once was. There you see Santos wearing one. There you see Congresswoman Anna Luna. And I just profiled both of them because didn't both of them use multiple aliases. I've never seen people in a, all these MAGA Republicans also have different names and different identities, and they called themselves different things at different times. So which is a whole nother podcast on that.
I know there was a lot of speculation. Have we gotten to the bottom of who the hell was handing these pins out? Why are they wearing them? It's really it's something that you would almost see on a meme about Republicans to show how craven and disgusting and just how sick they are. And here they are actually doing that. Like you said, Ben, you would think, oh, that's Photoshop. That's photo. Have you seen the Photoshops of the politicians where they have the NASCAR and they have the brand, the brands all over their suits and the companies all over their suits. And they're this is how they should walk around to show where the special interests are. This looks like a version of that to show look, they're in the pocket of the NRA and there are all these school shootings going on. There are all these mass shootings all across the country. And look who is partially to blame for it. The people who refuse to act, the Republicans, and they are proudly just displaying it for everyone to see.
If you asked our pro-democracy friends overseas to draw in their mind a political cartoon of what a Republican looks like, they would draw somebody in a suit with an AR-15 lapel. Absolutely.
If you showed me this in Handmaid's Tale or some dystopian Orwellian style movie, and this was part of the script, I would be okay, that's too far. This actually goes beyond Handmaid's Tale when you think about it, right? Could you imagine in Handmaid's Tale if they wore AR-15s? I could, I guess, but this is what is happening right now in the House of Representatives. The Republicans have taken away the flag and they now wear AR-15 pins. You cannot make this up. I tweeted it out. My tweet has over, right now at the time of viewing, it's been viewed over 3.6 million times.
Wow.
The tweet. And the reason that I say, it's not photoshopped is because people think I photoshopped it. They think, and I go, I promise, it's not photoshopped. This is actually what the House Republicans are doing. All right.
So wait, one more point before we get to it. One last tease. So this is speculation, but what I've done in some just desktop research is the genesis of the pin is actually given to them by the NRA. Again, just speculation. I need to confirm this, but apparently it's an NRA given pin for monetary gain.
You know what, Jordy? While your sartorial sense is extraordinary, the idea of doing desktop research and spitting out facts live without really
I think people like to know where my mind's at.
Okay. Jordy did a quick Google search while we were live, and that's the first Google result is saying that. All right, so we talked about Kevin McCarthy. On Friday, on February 3rd, on Hulu, I will be executive producing a show. We've got a show on Hulu, everybody, that I executive produced with Adriano, the team at ABC and Hulu. It's called Killing County, folks. I want you all to watch it on Friday when it finally will be on Hulu. And it's a true crime thriller, and it is based in Kevin McCarthy's district in Bakersfield. It's called Killing County. The highest crime rates in the country, the highest murder rates in the country, the most police shooting deaths in the country. Where is it? It's in a Republican district. And frankly, when you start to unpeel or unravel the narratives that are out there, we've talked about this before on the podcast, like the states, the 10 or 15 states that we did. Oh yeah, by the way, there is our billboard, Colin Kaepernick's Killing County on Hulu. And we did the billboard. We put the billboard right next to the Welcome to Bakersfield sign. So when you're heading into Bakersfield, right behind it, you have the billboard for Killing County. But when you look at the states, the top 10 or 15 states that have the highest homicide rate and the highest crime rate, almost invariably, they are states that are led by Republicans. And in Killing County, as you start peeling back the layers, some of the things that you start to find out is Did the Bakersfield Police Department kill their own informant? Was the Bakersfield Police Department running their informants off the books so that the Bakersfield police officers could sell drugs, methamphetamine and cocaine and other drugs into the community? The police officers were the drug dealers. How was that linked to the shooting of an informant? And all these other shooting deaths start to unravel. And the story is compelling in the first 10 minutes. When you watch this, you're going to be like, what the heck? And look, before I did Midas Touch, before Colin Kaepernick and I became business partners, and before I, doing what I'm doing now, I was a civil rights lawyer and I worked cases in Bakersfield. Right off Truxton Avenue is where I would stay in Kern County. These are the families. Right. Welcome to Bakersfield. I lived with, these families. The families are like family to me. The families actually all took a trip to Times Square. There's a big billboard also in Times Square. They got to see their loved ones who have since passed due to these police shootings and other conduct. They saw them on the billboard in Times Square. It was a very touching moment. I am so proud to share this with the world. Please let everybody know about the show. Please make sure you watch it. Do me a favor, please. After this show, tweet about it. Go on social media, Facebook, Twitter, whatever you use. Tell people about Killing County. It's really one of our first big shows on Hulu. And so I'm so excited to share this with the world. And then I also want to give another blockbuster announcement that earlier this morning, Michael Cohen and I announced a new podcast that we're doing together on the Midas Touch Network called Political Beatdown. We did our first live soft opening, if you will, earlier this morning. Michael Cohen, Ben Meiselas breaking down different critical issues. That's also going to be on a podcast as well. So you can search for Political Beatdown with Michael Cohen.
Give it like 24 to 48 hours. It'll be there. Don't you worry.
The first one takes a little time to load. So once we load it, it'll be up the very first time you load an episode. Cohen and I couldn't wait. We wanted to do it right away. And then also while you're listening, please check us out at patreon.com/Midas Touch, patreon.com/Midas Touch. We are 100% independent here. We have no outside investors. We have exclusive content you can only get on our Patreon site. But most importantly, it helps grow this independent media platform. Probably not the greatest business model that we have, not taking outside investors who want to help fund this, but we do not want to have anyone telling us or even suggesting how our content should be. I know that's the way you like it. And I always get asked by you, what can I do to help? Well, if you can, it's a membership. So no worries if you can't, but check us out, patreon.com/Midas Touch. Become a member. And what we're doing once a month now as well, we hold these Zoom sessions where you can meet us. The last one we did, we spent about 3 hours on it. We answered every single question. We could have a 1 on 300 conversation, but we are happy. But we answered everyone's questions that raised their hand. And I'm so proud of that. We're going to be doing that again in February, in addition to having a lot of exclusive content. So please join us at patreon.com/Midas Touch. All right. Special counsel, Jack Smith.
Ben,
bring
also,
it in,
is the show, is it midnight tonight? Is it going to be out?
Everyone's going to have to check. So it should be on Hulu starting at midnight, starting February 3rd. You'll check it out. And I'd love to know your feedback because look, within the first 10, by the way, I cried during the trailer of it. And in the first 8 minutes of it, you're going to be like, what happened? What happened there? Brett, I know we got some sponsors as well. You want to go cut to them?
Yeah. We're going to play. First off, I want everybody also to let us know, what do you think about the Jordy ad reads? I think Jordy is getting just so much praise for the ad reads. And I know everybody in the comments is like, we need more Jordy ad reads. Where are the Jordy ad reads? So you know what? We like to deliver for the people. So here's just a quick moment from our sponsors of the show who help us keep it going. Thank you so much to them. And when we get back, we are going to break down the major updates in the special counsel Jack Smith investigation into Donald Trump. This is getting very close to the top, folks, so you're going to want to stick around, and we'll be right back after this.
And now let's take a quick break to talk about our next partner, Fume. Be smart, don't start, kick the habit. Put it out before it puts you out. All phrases we've heard 100 times, yet we still continue to have bad habits. Now, as you may know, I have a horrible habit of grinding my teeth that just drives me up the walls. Well, our sponsor, Fume, is on a mission to accelerate humanity's breakup from bad habits that consume far too many of us. Fume is a natural diffusive device that uses plants and behavioral science to help you trade out your negative habit for a positive one. Fume is not a vape. It's a non-electronic device designed to transform your negative habits. Instead of pods filled with potentially harmful chemicals like a vape, Fume uses cores infused with plants like peppermint and cinnamon for delicious flavors. With an adjustable airflow dial and a magnetic end cap, your fingers will always have something to always do. Now, look, I didn't expect much out of Fume when I first got it, but the minty sensation is really powerful, and it really hits the back of your throat in a good way. Also, the design is super sleek. My own experience with Fume has been game-changing. The easiest way to stop a bad habit is to switch to a positive one, and Fume is designed perfectly to do just that. It's Fume's goal to make switching easy and even enjoyable. They have thousands of 5-star reviews from people just like you who've successfully switched when other solutions just didn't work. Head to tryfume.com and use code MIDAS to save 10% off when you get the Journey Pack today. The Journey Pack comes with 3 unique flavors and the new version 2 Fume to help kickstart your positive habits. That's tryfum.com and use code MIDAS to save an additional 10% off your order today. And now, back to the video. And now let's take a quick break to talk about our sponsor, Neurohacker Qualia Mind. Look, we here at Midas Touch and the Midas Media Network, we are spinning a lot of plates to keep you informed on breaking news content day in and day out. That's why we're so proud to partner with Neurohacker Qualia Mind to keep us focused and improve our memories. Transforming willpower and productivity can, in turn, transform tons of life habits for the better, from workouts to job performance to life goals. And that's why it's so important to have a sharp memory in today's work environment. Look, we've all lost our keys before or forgot something at work and ended up down on ourselves because, well, how could we forget that? Well, worry no more. Our sponsor, Neurohacker, combines 28 of the most research-backed nootropic ingredients on Earth into the ultimate brain fuel formula, Qualia Mind. And it's been changing people's lives for years now. For my daily mental performance and supporting long-term brain health, Qualia Mind is indispensable. It's so cool to take a health product where you don't have to wonder if it's working, because it does. I noticed the difference in just days to my focus, my mood, my memory, and my willpower to just get things done. The formula is non-GMO, vegan, gluten-free, and ingredients are meant to complement one another, factoring in each ingredient's effect on mental clarity. It's also backed by a 100-day money-back guarantee. So you have almost 3 months to try Qualia Mind at no financial risk, and you decide for yourself. Look, see what the best brain fuel formula on earth can do for your mindset. Go to neurohacker.com/Midas for $100 off. That's only $39 a bottle, and a listener of Midas Touch, please use code MIDAS at checkout for an extra 15% off your first purchase. That's neurohacker.com/Midas to try Qualia Mind with code MIDAS to experience life-changing mental performance. And now, back to the video.
The wild thing, Jay, about
Jordy Mycelis, everybody. I mean, the wild take thing, a moment, everybody.
Yeah, the wild thing about Jordy's ad reads, because we did one of them like during my video today, and it was a good video. I mean, I broke down whether Alina Habba was fired or not. I mean, the lawyers in the federal case, in the E. Jean Carroll case, filed a letter brief for Roberta Kaplan saying that Alina Habba was withdrawing from the case. And then there was the emergency hearing that was held in New York State Court called by the New York Attorney General Letitia James, where Judge Arthur Engoron basically excoriated Trump's lawyers and said that their frivolous answer was like the worst piece of paper ever. And Alina Habba didn't show up there. So I did like a superb analysis on the law. And then Jordy does an ad read on Fume, and I'm reading the comments, and they're not like really great legal analysis. They're like, great ad read, Jordy. And I was like, great ad read. I'm glad that people like your ad reads.
I put a lot of work into those ad reads. Everyone knows my background before Midas was in marketing and advertising. So I got to be at shoots with real actors who would do ad reads. And I like to think I picked up a little bit from them.
Well, you did a great job.
They really make me smile. I gotta say.
People,
I text Jordy. I'm like, I really love that read. I watch the reads, and I'm like, Jordy, you're really making me smile today. He's like, why? I'm like, that read, man.
I mean,
all right, let's get into
Jack. Get back. Jack Smith. I was going to say it was part of his sartorial.
Special counsel, grand jury. Ben, what does that equation equal for us today in the news? Give us the latest.
It equals a bad day for Donald Trump in the news when, Fitton, Tom Fitton, who like basically pretends that he's a lawyer. Like he doesn't actually say he's a lawyer, but like he gives the impression. He's the president of a group called Judicial Watch. He wears really tight shirts and he talks about the law as though he's coming from a place of authority, which he has absolutely none. And he just spreads all this MAGA extremist, fascist, performative nonsense. But he's someone who Donald Trump gets advice from. And by the way, not protected by attorney-client privilege because he's not a lawyer.
Attorney.
And so, but Fitton's always like loud, his tight shirts, and he does the muscle thing. When he was walking into the grand jury today, he was like he's like, oh no, like that's why I said Carmen Sandiego. I don't know if we have a photo of while I'm doing this, Brett, maybe you find a photo of Carmen Sandiego so I could see why Carmen Sandiego was etched in my mind. But Fitton, he's very significant in the insurrection because he wrote emails like to Trump's inner circle, to Scavino and others, basically writing the script before the November 2020 election, saying exactly what Donald Trump should say to declare victory even when he loses. And Fitton not only involved in, by the way, that's dating back earlier in 2020 when Fitton kind of helped coordinate the strategy of like, just declare victory even if you lose and say that you won. And so what that really goes to and what we see Jack Smith focused on are the elements of the crime. And here, premeditation. You're going to hear that word a lot. Intent, that this was a plan from the outset. No matter what, when you lose, do X, Y, and Z, and then X, Y, and Z was followed. There it is. Carmen Sandiego. Exactly. That's why I've never heard that. That's what my mind is so silly sometimes. That is a sartorial, Jordy. When we're talking about sartorial, have you Googled that?
If you say sartorial one more time, I might actually leave the show tonight.
Okay, but have you Googled it while I've been on the show?
No, but it doesn't matter even what it is at this point. You're saying it with a negative connotation attached to it.
I'm not, anyway. Sartorial. So one of the things Fitton, when Trump always talks about the Sox case, the Clinton Sox case, that's a case that Fitton lost, that Trump cites as being helpful to him, which has nothing to do with Donald Trump's theft of documents and top secret, sensitive, compartmented information. Like the Sox case, Fitton sued the National Archives to force the National Archives to get Clinton to return notes that were being used for Clinton's autobiography, not top secret records, like records that were personal records. And the National Archives were like, okay, first off, it's 20 years too late. Like, okay, that's like from like 1998, number one. And number two, it's personal records. Number three, who the hell are you, Fitton? Okay, you have no standing to sue us to then go after Clinton. There's nothing to do with any, so that's the Sox case where Donald Trump goes, you see, the court ruled I could steal all of our records and all of our classified records. No, the Sox case And they call it the socks case because it was like they were saying, oh, they believe in the autobiography that Clinton kept the notes to his autobiography in his sock drawer. So that's why they call it the sock case. But it has nothing to do with Donald Trump stealing records, obstructing justice, concealing, destroying, mutilating classified records.
If you just go through Fitton's entire history also, like he stands on the exact wrong side of every single issue. Like you name an issue, he's on the exact wrong side, trying to fight against it, trying to spread disinformation. He is really like he's one of the bad guys. Like this is not a good faith actor out there. And I think, they best summed it up when we had Rep. Zoe Lofgren sum it up during the January 6th hearing. She laid out how intricately involved Tom Fitton was with the plot to overthrow our democracy. And so as we see him today get spotted heading in to the grand jury room where Jack Smith and the grand jury is set up to investigate Donald Trump's crimes relating to January 6th, I think it's important right now that we actually revisit the January 6th committee when they were speaking about Fitton's role in all of this, because it just shows you just how involved he truly was. Here's the clip.
A few days before the election, Mr. Trump also consulted with one of his outside advisors, inside activist Tom Fitton, about the strategy for election night. The Select Committee got this pre-prepared statement from the National Archives. As you can see, the draft statement, which was sent on October 31st, declares, "We had an election today, and I won." And the Fitton memo specifically indicates a plan that only the votes counted by the election day deadline, and there is no election day deadline, would matter. Everyone knew that ballot counting would lawfully continue past election day. Claiming that the counting on election night must stop before millions of votes were counted was, as we now know, a key part of President Trump's premeditated plan. On election day, just after 5 p.m., Mr. Fitton indicated he'd spoken with the president about the statement. Sending along again, just talked to him about the draft below. Again, this plan to declare victory was in place before any of the results had been determined.
Powerful. And the fact that Fitton testified before the grand jury, he's linked to all of these other groups. And so a lot of information will come from Fitton. And we haven't really, even in other than the January 6th committee talking about Fitton like that really seems to be an area that they didn't probe as much as Special Counsel Jack Smith. And I wonder, is Fitton going to invoke his Fifth Amendment rights against self-incrimination? Is Fitton, some people have speculated, is Fitton cooperating? Has Fitton turned on Trump potentially because Fitton is very much exposed for criminal liability? So
Ben Fitton is not only involved in the January 6th stuff we should, mention and remind people of. He's also heavily involved in the theft and the obstruction of the top secret documents. Fitton is the guy who told Trump to blow off the National Archives. He's the guy who told Trump, you don't need to give them back. They're yours. You were the president. They're yours now. You get to keep them. Those are your documents. He was the guy who did that.
I got the socks case for you, man.
Yeah. And he's with the socks case nonsense, which we've said ad nauseum here, what that was about. But literally beyond the socks case, he was the guy who told Trump, you don't have to give those back. They're yours. They're your documents. You could you declassify them with your mind. They're yours. Like he was the guy who put all this in Trump's head. And so he is actually tied to a lot of the criminal investigations into Donald Trump, not just January 6th, but January 6th and the issue over the confidential documents.
Yeah, he's a total idiot too. Like, so when when Donald Trump says there is no law on point criminalizing my behavior, and as I would point out in the videos I would do, the laws are literally in the search warrant. They're right there. Okay, it's Espionage Act, it's obstruction, it's concealment and mutilation. Like those are actually the laws. They're criminal laws. You can't do that, and they carry with it massive criminal sentences. But he's getting that analysis from somebody who's basically pretending to be a lawyer, who
is pretending to be a lawyer,
who's intentionally a bad faith actor, who's representing that he's judicial watch this or judicial watch that, but who doesn't really have any, and he's not a real lawyer at the end of the day. When whether he actually said he's never said I'm a lawyer, but I think clearly the context within which he speaks about the law, it gives that appearance. But want to also talk about this. So that's Fitton and Jack Smith. I talked about the emergency hearing that took place in New York State Court before Judge Engoron, where Donald Trump filed a frivolous answer to the lawsuit against him seeking at least $250 million by Letitia James, where Donald Trump basically claimed, I don't know who runs the Trump organization. I can't admit or deny the allegations, and also just said things that completely contradict statements that Trump's given in sworn deposition testimony before. All the lawyers are so on to Trump now, and it's great. And all the judges are on to him too. So the moment that Trump plays a game, what the lawyers do, whether it's New York Attorney General Letitia James or Roberta Kaplan, E. Jean Carroll's lawyer, boom, you run right to the court. Because if you don't, they've realized what Trump's tactic is. Well, if you were really concerned about my behavior, you would have said something right away. Right? So now they run to the court. We need a hearing because they know Trump's trying to delay the trial date. New York Judge Arthur Engoron said, I'm not moving the trial date. October 2nd, 2023, not moving. Same thing. The E. Jean Carroll trial, April 2023, not moving. Trump's got trial after trial after trial coming up in civil cases. And then we have all of the criminal investigations that are taking place. And for me, it's really a question of who indicts first, Fani Willis, Alvin Bragg, or Jack Smith. That's why Donald Trump's calling for civil war. And the same thing when I talk about the lapel pins, where you may go, all right, he's probably saying some outlandish crap, but he's not actually calling for a violent, civil war. Well, he is, and they are wearing lapel pins. So this is what Donald Trump posted. He goes, then they will have to figure out how to fight 80 million plus. It's not going to happen again. People my age and old will physically fight for him this time. What we got to lose. I'll donate the rest of my time here on this planet to do it. And I know many, many others who feel the same. They got my sixth, and we are locked and loaded. That's Trump reposting some cult member on his social media platform whose name is Free Texas 1776. And Senator Chris Murphy, Democrat, goes, it will likely get little to no attention today that the current frontrunner for the Republican presidential nomination just told his supporters to start arming themselves for a civil war to overthrow the government in the case he loses. Just Trump being Trump. So quirky. He's obviously being sarcastic there and both criticizing Trump and large media networks who are not going to cover that and treat it like this is a both sides. Here are the Republicans, the conservatives, and here are the liberals. That's why I always say on the Midas Touch podcast, never, ever call a MAGA Republican or a Republican conservative again. These are not conservative people. How many times I read headlines today about Fitton going in front of the grand jury where they called him a conservative activist. Not a conservative activist. He wants to overthrow the freaking government. He's not a conservative activist. Stop calling these idiots, these right-wing MAGAs, stop calling them conservatives. And then, the media's excuse, well, we don't want to give him any attention. That's why we're giving him airtime. Okay, BS. You give him attention anyway. Donald Trump's got a new airplane that swooped into New Hampshire. And
Trump Force One.
So smart.
Trump Force One. You do cover him, and you cover him in ways that are favorable. So you need to cover this. We cannot cover our eyes and close our ears to the fact that the Republican Party today is now a MAGA Republican Party that is a fascist party that is led by a deranged, sadistic, cult leader who is reposting commands for civil war. Like, could you imagine? And it's all in plain sight, right? Like, you don't need sleuthing and finding this, email that was said. He's posting it. He's telling you, and then they're actually doing it. And so when this crazy person, this MAGA terrorist, is writing in here, it's not going to happen again. People my age will physically fight for him this time. They physically fought for him last time. What do you think when they say trial by combat? What they mean? And when they kill police officers in front of the Capitol and attack the Capitol building violently. They did attack violently. Then you add that, and then you see the lapel pins of the AR-15s. It all is together. It's all connected what these people are. Traitors. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and the problem is you would hope that there would be some, quote, moderate voices out there who will stand up to this guy. And they do when it's politically expedient. And you go, oh, maybe this is one of the normal ones, right? Maybe this is one of the old school Republicans. This is one of the good guys out there. And then election time comes up. And when they start having to be asked the question, will you support Donald Trump in 2024? You've said horrible things about him. You've said he's against everything America stands for. You've criticized him for wanting to terminate the Constitution. You were a fierce critic of his for January 6th. Would you support the guy? You said he's anti-American. Would you support the guy? Then you have people like even Larry Hogan.
How did that happen?
What the hell was that? Former Maryland Governor Larry Hogan. They ask him, will you support Trump if he's the nominee? And at first he equivocates and you go, well, there's a lot of good candidates out there. And I think we should choose the best candidates and we shouldn't choose losing candidates. And then they try to, well, will you support Trump if he's the nominee? Well, you know what? There are a lot of bad candidates out there, a lot of good candidates. We shouldn't go with losers. Would you support Trump? Yes, I would support whoever the Republican nominee is. You would support this guy? After all that happened, after all that you said in the past, you would support this guy? And then you have the people walking it back, like that guy, Governor Sununu in New Hampshire. You see that? He today also said he was joking. He was joking when he said Trump was effing crazy. Didn't seem like a joke at the time when he said it. But there was just a joke. Just joking. Just that guy, that rascal, the rapscallion Donald Trump.
Why would you want to be part of a political party where that, like, there are choices, right? Like, you don't have to do it, okay? You don't have to become a freaking traitor against the United States, because they're running, Hogan wants to run for president. Sununu's going to be running. And as part of that, they think in their own delusional mind that they've got a shot in the primary. And that if they say that they're not going to be supportive of the Republican nominee, even if it's Trump, that they're not going to win. And it goes back to you're going to win in what? Turning America into a Russian satellite country? Like you want to win in and make our country like the most, fascist, ridiculous, like laughing stock of the world. Like that's what you even want to win. And again, I always talk about that Alexander Haig quote because I think it's so important. General Haig was Secretary of State, the youngest four-star general in American history at that point. It's all about what a leader is. On the Democratic side, and again, I disagree with Democrats on a lot of things, but when you're a leader, you got to stand up for things. You can't just go with wherever the wind is taking you, and just give in to populism. Like one of the things I really like about President Biden is he makes hard decisions sometimes, and again, decisions that are potentially unpopular at the time, but ultimately are helpful to the country. And then on the other hand, you got MAGA Republicans, okay, Fox is making up the conspiracy, everybody. All right, the new conspiracy, everybody. The green M&M's a lesbian green M&M, purple M&M's obese, everybody. And then they implement a policy, to like ban the green M&M, and then we need to ban M&Ms. M&Ms are too woke. Today the one and they're like stupid today. Like today it was like everybody Sims 4 is too woke. Like Sims 4 is a game from like 2014. Like, did they just discover the Sims like exist? Sims 4 is too woke, everybody. And of course, gas stoves, right? Like gas stoves is the big MAGA Republican, the Democrats, like MAGA Republicans who legitimately want to take away your Social Security, legitimately want to take away Medicare from you, legitimately want to raise your prescription drug prices. Like they want to kill you. Okay. They're wearing AR-15 freaking pins. Okay. They're arresting women. They're criminalizing women. That's what House Republicans are focusing on issues that it's all gaslighting.
This is a tweet that they put up today. After all this, after everything that we spoke about, after everything they prioritized, the GOP tweets out, and I had to see this from my personal account because they actually block Midas Touch. The GOP blocks Midas Touch, which I think is something we need to speak about more. The GOP wrote, House Republicans are focusing on issues that matter. The audacity, the freaking audacity, people. And then they try to go on their little MAGA tours and they try to use these made up issues to score political points instead of dealing with the real problems that exist for people. Right. They go out there and they try to spike the football with the dumbest policies on the planet that don't even resemble anything related to conservatism whatsoever, don't help people in any way, shape, or form. And here, speaking of these MAGA lunatics in the mix of all things, you have Ron DeSantis going out touting, and we said that he was joking about this a few weeks ago, and he said it as an aside with sort of a laugh. Well, he wasn't joking now that he's proposing his budget, and he is saying, in my budget, guess what? We're not going to tax gas stoves. If you're electric stoves, you're going to have to pay the tax, but if you get a gas stove, tax-free. This is like a real this is
a real thing. This isn't an SNL skit.
And then we just added, because I think it needs to be done, no tax permanently on gas stoves. They want your gas stove, and we're not going to let that happen. And we're not even a state. The way Florida was built, a lot of this wasn't even connected to gas lines. You got a lot of electric stuff. But it's just the principle of, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, what's ridiculous is literally 8% of Floridians use gas. 8%. So that's how you know this is purely just some political BS stupid stuff. A lot of people don't even have the gas lines to even do it. Like it's just stupid. I don't even want to humor it because it's just so dumb.
But it's an excellent point though, Brett, because if only 8% of Floridians actually have gas stoves, he's only talking to maybe a fraction of that percentage that are just so in his own MAGAverse, as we like to say. Because ultimately, Republicans, they think these culture wars are winning issues. They're issues to get people loud and maybe try and distract from the fact that, okay, let me hold up over here. Let me hold up gas stoves over here. I'm coming after your Medicare. Let me hold up Sims over here. I'm coming after your Social Security. I'm coming after your women's rights where they take and they take. And you know what? The American people are seeing them take. They are seeing them take. We saw it in the midterms. Everyone thought, all the big pollsters out there, all the brand names, they said, it's going to be a red wave. No, they fed into a dumb narrative that was solely based on culture wars. And as we saw, calling back to that Marjorie Taylor Greene clip, when you actually try and have a conversation and she's shouting out CRT and $5 billion to this school, like just the average American person just knows what she's saying is complete BS, and they're sick of it. They are sick of that buffoonery. And each day, the dumbest majority in congressional history is going to go up and do these dumb things and embarrass the country and embarrass themselves time and time and time again. And the American people aren't going to respond to this. They're not. They're going to respond to it in a negative way and say, hey, I don't want you to lead me. You are an incompetent person.
And in DeSantis's case, he's also, I was going to say, in DeSantis's case, he's also they're not only picking your pockets, but he's also distracting from the severe problems that Florida is facing. And he thinks, and this is an accurate assessment, I think it's been proven true because he did get reelected in a big way down there. He has realized that if I distract people and I own the libs all the time with these culture war issues, and I do that nonstop, I could distract people from thinking about the incredibly exorbitant rent prices that they're paying, the ridiculous housing prices that they are paying, the insane insurance costs in Florida, the teacher shortage, the massive teacher shortage in Florida in public schools. I mean, there are a lot of incredibly fundamental, basic governing issues in the state of Florida, catastrophic issues. catastrophic. I recommend Texas Paul did a really good breakdown on it, which I think you guys should watch. But he's also
then Brett,
distracting with
you
this nonsense.
mentioned Texas Paul. Go to Texas.
Yeah.
Greg Abbott.
Mm-hmm.
Greg Abbott. You know, Jordy, the problem that I agree with you if pro-democracy is also loud and doesn't cede an inch. The problem, though, is how does Beto lose substantially to someone like Abbott, right? How does DeSantis win in a landslide? It's because propaganda, these issues, though, if utilized with the 1984 Orwellian precision that lethal propaganda can be weaponized to do, it is effective. And it is important, not just vital, existential for pro-democracy to fight back. And not just say, oh, we're fighting back, but to use the truth and to condense these true messages in ways that Americans can understand and see for themselves, and see that there are 7,000 infrastructure projects going up. See that there are going to be 20,000 infrastructure projects talking about jobs, jobs, jobs. Standing up to these wannabe dictators like DeSantis and Abbott and a bunch of these other Republicans. I mean, Jordy, in 1984, by George Orwell, war is peace, freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength. And that is the language of the modern day MAGA Republican. I truly think Orwell would be like, whoa, that even went further than I predicted the way they're going. But let's not forget, you know, the lessons of Nazi Germany. You tell a small lie, people get it. You tell a big lie, people fall for it. And you go back in history, thousands and thousands of years, these tactics have been utilized before, and these tactics can be combated. And so it is important. One of the things we do here at the Midas Touch Network is we take deep immersions in historical context, cult deprogramming, and to try to bring truth in these digestible ways, because the media is going to both sides of the issue. They're not equipped to handle this. And so what do you have to do? This is the whole thesis of Midas Touch. You take the shovel and you rebuild the media. You build the media for 2023 and onward in ways that you show fact. They lie, fact. You don't put people on split screens and say, here's a liberal, here's a conservative, yell at each other. All right, now we got a commercial break. No, you do 15 minutes of facts. Fact. And then you bring good-looking Jordy on to do an ad read. That's the way sartorial Jordy. That's the way the media should be. And here, look, can we pull up Trump's statement though about DeSantis too, because this is just going to be glorious. And this is an opportunity to point out, let's fuel what's taking place here. This is what Trump says about DeSantis. He goes, the real Ron is a rhino globalist who closed quickly down Florida, even its beaches. Let me read it the way Donald Trump says it, though. Thank you. The real Ron is a rhino globalist who closed quickly down Florida and even its beaches, loved the vaccines, and wasted big money on testing. How quickly people forget. So first off, that's not even true. DeSantis killed tens of thousands of Floridians. Killed them. Let's just be clear what he did by having ridiculous disinformation spread about COVID. And even right now, DeSantis, to appeal to Republican voters, this is the Republican issue. You have to be anti-vax. You have to be against medication. You have to cheer on global pandemics. That is the craziest words that I am saying. But that is actually what it means to be a Republican today. Their political platform is you have to cheer on insurrections and global pandemics. That is part of their platform. So here, what Donald Trump's attack line on DeSantis is, being a rhino globalist, okay, breaking down what that means in their world, that means that you addressed and promptly responded to a global pandemic to make sure that people were safe, which DeSantis didn't do, but that's how you attack him. He loved vaccines. Could you imagine loving vaccines being a negative? Like when people created vaccines, like the person, like when vaccines were invented and vaccines that have cured smallpox and other incredibly ravaging things, we're like, damn, these like anti-vaxxers used to be, look, in mostly all circumstances, this anti-vax conspiracy strand used to be like just some of the nuttiest of nutty, and you'd be like, what the hell, what's going on? It is now a political platform of Republican parties, and not just vaccines. So let's just say, you know what, everyone, we're cautious when it comes to that. Okay. Wasted big money on testing. Okay. Testing for sickness is now problematic in the Republican Party platform. The idea that you would test to see if somebody was sick is anathema. Jordy, I'm throwing these words your way. Anathema to the Republican platform. We're anti-testing. We're anti-vaccine. We're pro-insurrection. We wear AR-15 pins. We believe that while the military requires training to utilize weapons of war, like the military version of AR-15s, while the military requires training, they got to read a whole training manual and be proficient in order to utilize assault weapons. When it comes to 18-year-olds with no credit, minimal to no background checks, can't even afford it, let's not just give them the AR-15s, but after they have the school shooting, let's wear a freaking pin to celebrate it. This is who the MAGA Republicans are today. It is so shocking, but none of what I just said is hyperbolic. Another word for you, Jordy. None of what I said is hyperbolic.
Great words.
Great words.
It's
buffoonery.
Well, that's
Straight
why
buffoonery. It can be summed up in one word: buffoonery.
That's why it's good, though, that we finally have people out there calling it out. And honestly, I do think a lot of it is inspired by you listening to the show, by you watching this show. I mean,
yes.
There are a lot of people in DC who do listen to the show and hear your complaints and get it, And so I think, and they take an example from us, and they take an example from you, and they see that they see your complaints about the fire. They hear our complaints about the need to have some fire out there to compete with these fascist voices. And hopefully they continue down this path, because there are some dark forces we are going against. But you know what? We got the truth on our side, and we got some of the best people on our side. So we need to keep pushing forward. I made a joke to Jordy and Ben last night, which really wasn't a joke. I was just looking. There was some report that said Donald Trump is digging up footage of Ron DeSantis saying good things about vaccines for some Oppo research. And I was like, isn't it weird that Republican Oppo research on candidates is finding people saying somewhat decent and normal things? Like that's Oppo research to them, finding somebody say, yeah, vaccines are good to preventing illnesses. Gotcha. It's just a weird, sick thing.
Can you imagine these debates, Brett?
They're going to be off the wall. We're going to have to cover them. We're going to have to cover them. It's going to be absolutely great. The irony of it all, to just totally kind of get away from the politics of it, is with this dumb gas stove debate over the last few weeks. I've been like gas stoves for cooking. I've enjoyed gas stoves,
Really?
but this Yes, but
Brett,
this actually
pro gas stove.
I've always really liked gas stoves for cooking. I found you have a lot more control, but this actually made me start doing research on the new induction stoves. And now, like, I really want an induction stove. Like, all the chefs say that they cook much faster. It
Chef
boils
Brett.
water. It boils
Chef
water in like
Brett.
30 seconds. It has no heat. They're easy to clean. And now, like, that Biden's giving out these
You
tax credits for
liberal.
switching. I know, right? This is
liberal.
so woke right now. So woke right now.
Are you
But-
going to support lowering prescription drug prices next, huh? Are you going to support infrastructure projects next?
Brett,
huh?
Brett, are you going to support a living wage? Is that what you're going to do?
Are you going to
Is that where
try
you're
to
going?
make sure that veterans
healthcare,
get the
folks.
best health care that they deserve? Is that where you're going next, you woke liberal?
I want an induction stove now, and the government is giving tax credits for people who want to make that change. And I've been
Are you
actively
going to
looking
support
into it.
free and fair elections, you little liberal, you?
Yeah, woke.
The
We're ending on a
peaceful
real
transition of
woke,
power.
woke, peaceful transitions to power, woke induction stoves, woke healthcare, all of that.
Slippery slope, middle brother. Slippery slope, Mycellus. Everybody, check out Killing County on Hulu, for real. Check out Killing County on Hulu. Executive produced it with Colin Kaepernick, Robe Embriano, an incredible team at ABC. Some of the smartest, brightest, most incredible people I've ever worked with in my life. The people at Hulu have been incredible as well. The families, the stories that I've got to tell. I made a promise to the families when I was in Bakersfield that one day when I wasn't a lawyer, still a lawyer, but if I'd have a platform to tell their story in some other way, I said, I will never forget your stories. And I promise you that I will make sure until my last day that I will tell your stories however I can tell them. And it just goes to show you that at that time in 2014 and 2015, I didn't really have any media connections. Couldn't contemplate having a show on Hulu. I'm not even sure where Hulu was in its growth in 2014, 2015, but to have this show to share their stories in this format with Colin Kaepernick as a co-executive producer and to share it with the world on this big of a stage and to tell these families' story this way and to honor them and to provide them the justice that they've always wanted. I can't tell you, I'm the happiest person ever. And the fact that I can talk to you about the show with my brothers on the Midas Touch podcast and share this moment with all of you. I can share it with my biological family and my Midas Mighty family, everybody who watches and listens this. Why do you think everyone says I love it when Ben starts with a big smile on his face when he does it? But how could I not have a big smile on my face after everything that I just told you? And the smile comes from you. It comes from the Midas Mighty. It comes from this community, because I know with all of the chaos, with all the confusion, with all of this news, I know we're good. I know we're good because I know how good you are. And I know what this community can accomplish together. And that's what gives me so much hope. Check us out on Patreon as well. patreon.com/Midas Touch. Again, we are not funded by any outside investors at all. So the way we fund this is through Patreon. Become a member, get the exclusive content there, including joining the Zoom meetups where you can meet us directly, ask us any questions that you have. Last one, we spent 3 hours. Every question was answered. We are going to keep on doing that. Go to patreon.com/Midas Touch. Also, check out store.MidasTouch.com. Get the official Midas Touch gear, 100% made in the U.S., 100% union made. We wouldn't do it any way else. Store.MidasTouch.com. All right, I'm going to get ready for Killing County, which premieres on Friday, February 3rd. After you all watch it, please tweet about it. share it, use the hashtag Killing County, tell friends, family, coworkers, tell everybody about it. If you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, just hit the subscribe button. Take a look. You see it right there. It says subscribe. Hit subscribe right now. Tell your friends, family, whoever to subscribe to the Midas Touch YouTube channel as well. Also, make sure you subscribe to the Midas Touch audio. Wherever you get your podcasts, search Midas Touch. Subscribe to our podcast channel. Leave 5-star reviews there. It helps with the algorithm. So please subscribe on audio as well. The Midas Touch podcast, Legal AF podcast, soon to be loaded. Give us 24 or 48 hours. Political Beatdown with Michael Cohen and Ben Meiselas. Subscribe there. Subscribe to The Weekend Show. Subscribe to Burn the Boats, the Midas Touch podcast platform. And we've got some more podcasts that we're going to be announcing next week as well to the arsenal. Thank you all so much. I appreciate you. Jordy, take it away.
Shout out to the Midas Mighty. The best part of waking up? MAGA tears in my cup. Check out the new MAGA tears mug available now at store.midastouch.com. That's store.midastouch.com. It's 100% union made right here in the USA. I know I'm not tired of winning yet. How about you? Get yours today.